Today, Wi-Fi based location analytics. What is it, and could it be the key to monetizing free Wi-Fi? We'll ask my guest today, Randy Brasche. Randy is the VP of Marketing at Euclid Analytics, one of the most promising data analytics companies around right now, and one of my favorite startups in the Wi-Fi industry. Join us right after this message.
Wi-Fi Now is a production of RCR TV News. To suggest a show topic or to learn more about Wi-Fi Now events, you can reach Claus Hetting at klaus@hettingconsulting.com. To find out more about Wi-Fi Now and all things wireless, visit rcrwireless.com.
All right, everybody, we're back, and in just a moment, I'm going to interview Randy Brasche of Euclid Analytics. Before we do that, I just want to remind you that we're taking Wi-Fi Now, the conference, to Washington, D.C. this coming April 19th to 21st. It will be the most comprehensive update on all things Wi-Fi ever assembled. Just go to our website and check out the program. We've got a fantastic set of speakers for you. And of course, you get an opportunity to network with all the great folks from across the Wi-Fi industry. So go to our website, wifinowevents.com/USA. And if you have any questions whatsoever, drop me a line at klaus@wifinowevents.com. Don't forget to mark your calendars, April 19th to 21st, and the place is Washington, D.C. Now, I'm delighted to welcome my guest on this show. It's Randy Brasche, VP of Marketing for Euclid Analytics. Randy, welcome to Wi-Fi Now TV.
Thanks, Klaus. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you, and I've been following you guys for a long time, but just for the benefit of our viewers who are not familiar with what Wi-Fi based location analytics is all about, can you take us through the basics, Randy?
Sure. Euclid has been around since 2010, and since our inception at that time, we've really focused our core data set on leveraging the existing Wi-Fi infrastructure that's out there. So if you think about it, about 80% of retailers and 60% of quick service restaurants have deployed Wi-Fi in their stores today. And what we do, we run on the existing infrastructure from Cisco, Meraki, Aerohive, Ruckus, HP Aruba, Xeris, pretty much 90% of all the existing Wi-Fi providers out there. And from that, when everybody has a smartphone in their pocket and most of them are trying to make a connection, trying to connect to the free Wi-Fi, and from those non-personal signals that people emit from their smartphones, we're able to detect some information to go ahead and analyze customer behavior in the store. So similar to what the online world has had for about 20 years for e-commerce, we're able to deliver that to physical spaces and unlock a lot of the mysteries about customer behaviors, patterns, and stuff like that. Again, that the online world's had for so many years.
Right, and when I first learned about what you guys were doing, it was also explained to me that you could kind of compare it to Google Analytics, except this is Google Analytics for brick and mortar locations, essentially. That more or less fits the bill, right?
Correct, and in fact, we were founded by the folks that was a precursor to Google Analytics, which was Urchin. And the interesting part, though, too, as well, is that once you take those core data sets and you apply that to your business outcomes, you can then understand what's happening in your store. So, understanding attribution for, you change a floor set change, you change a window display, you have a marketing campaign. Did that drive more traffic in the store? Did people stay longer? Did you have more cross-shopping? So all of those things, then you can understand what is happening in your store and how they affect your business outcomes.
Right, and so how do you see the market for Wi-Fi analytics of the type that Euclid represents developing? We're talking about a lot of different segments, really. We're talking about retail. We could also be talking about carriers, transport hubs, anything like that, right? How do you see that developing?
Yeah, I mean, it has applicability across the entire physical world. I think a lot of the low-hanging fruit today are the ones in their businesses that are undergoing a lot of transformation, that are starving for data within their stores. So obviously retail, quick service restaurants come to mind. And if you pick retail, they're undergoing tremendous transformation today. And they're simply because I think a lot of they have not been able to compete with the online counterparts. They've been driving their business on data. And in fact, you're looking now too, as well as like big companies like Amazon, or other retailers such as Warby Parker and so forth, actually making it, transferring their business into the brick and mortar world shows that they're looking to bring data into their stores. From a carrier perspective, or other Wi-Fi providers, this adds tremendous value to their existing Wi-Fi networks to monetize it with location-based analytics.
Right, and Randy, so just tell us where you think we are in terms of the take-up. If you think of this as kind of an S-curve, are we still kind of at the bottom, maybe 2% up? Is that what we're looking at right now as far as these types of solutions are concerned?
I think we're starting to get into more mainstream market right now. I mean, I think the past few years it was early market. I think 2015, 2016, we're starting to see tremendous uptake because, again, if you look at retailers, this is a do or die year for them, and for them it's about bringing data into the stores. Same for quick service restaurants, and you're starting to see proliferation of these capabilities for smart cities and transportation hubs and so forth. So I think right now we're starting to hit 2016 the mainstream.
Great. And I wanted to ask you also about your recent funding round, because I know you guys were successful. I think this was your second round of funding, I think, was it a month ago or a few weeks ago, in securing additional funding for Euclid Analytics, which is great news, by the way. Do you see that as a thumbs up to the Wi-Fi analytics business model?
Absolutely. And actually, this was our third or Series C round. And in fact, if you look at it, we had our existing premier investors, Benchmark and NEA, come back to the table and invest in us. And we're starting to see additional investors such as the Arnault Group, who owns LVMH, a lot of these luxury brands out in the world, and also Cox Enterprises invest in our company. So for them, they see, again, the proliferation of Wi-Fi and smartphones as the best way to start digitizing the physical world and bringing data into stores and other brick and mortar businesses.
Right, and I just wanted to mention to everybody out there that you just released, by the way, a very, very good piece of research. I read it just recently, and the research is into how companies intend to use Wi-Fi. Randy, can you give us the short version of what the results of that piece of research were?
Yeah, it was fascinating. We interviewed 30 quick service restaurants and 30 retailers, large retailers. And we found is an overwhelming majority of folks that had already deployed Wi-Fi were planning to leverage their existing Wi-Fi infrastructure to gain analytics, getting an understanding of what's happening in their physical locations. And from that too as well, we were able to discern that they want to leverage Wi-Fi as a digital platform to deploy new type of applications or services in the store to engage customers and provide what we like to call this logged in experience, and being able to go ahead and understand what's happening in the store, deploy new applications, and at the same time to deploy Wi-Fi based analytics to gain an understanding of what's happening.
So I got to challenge you a little bit, Randy, because one, perhaps the most controversial issue in matters of data analytics is, of course, privacy and security and so forth. And obviously there's rules and regulations protecting this, but also from a market point of view, a lot of consumers are very sensitive, towards being watched in whichever way. How do you resolve privacy concerns from Euclid's point of view?
Absolutely. We take privacy extremely seriously. And around 2013, we founded the Mobile Location Analytics Code of Conduct with other industry leaders, the Future of Privacy Forum, and members of Congress. And that dictates in terms of how we manage consumers' personal information, or the information that's emitted from a smartphone device, how it's stored and so forth. But at the same time, too, it gives consumers an option to opt out and guidelines for how our customers should disclose this to customers if they are indeed deploying Wi-Fi-based analytics. So again, we take it extremely seriously, and we've been pioneers in the space to really define the privacy standards.
And also from a technical point of view, you make sure through your hashing and your algorithms and so forth that you cannot actually track the MAC address data, because this is MAC address data that is beamed out by the devices, but then you hash it and so forth, as I understand it, to make sure that you cannot trace it back, any of that data back to an individual person. Is that correct?
Correct. We hash the MAC address. The other piece too as well, we report on aggregate basis, so we do not look and see what Claus is doing, track you and where you're going and so forth. So we just report on an aggregate basis. So 25% of your customers last month were new customers into the store that you hadn't seen before, those sort of things, but we don't go ahead and track you individually.
Very good. Now I want to ask you about another challenge, and that's getting businesses to actually accept this as part of their business process. And in order to do that, they also need to obviously apply some skill in interpreting results and what to do about these analytics results. How are you addressing this issue, and do we need more education, to really make your various customers benefit from what you're able to discern from these measurements?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of I like to say, customers don't know what they don't know. And once they actually have this new data set, it illuminates a lot of things about their business. And I think the key thing for what we do, again, is give them some context and understanding, if your traffic numbers are going up or your dwell times for customers are going up in your store, you're having greater cross-shopping, how is that impacting core business outcomes? So being able to attribute that to point of sale data, your marketing calendar for marketing activities, other things, operational things you might happen in your store. And from them, they can then understand the cause and effect between the two. The other piece too, as well, is applying a lot of the best practices and learnings that we have from our over 500 customers we've been working with around the world.
Mm-hmm. And thus far, if you look at the Euclid solution, we're talking about a passive analytics solution, from which you can then extract a lot of useful information. Do you think there's a market for active consumer engagement with Wi-Fi? There's a bunch of other companies as well working on this.
Absolutely. I mean, today we go ahead and measure the physical world on a passive basis. So just understanding traffic patterns and customer behavior and so forth. But I think where the market's going, and we showcased this a couple weeks ago at the National Retail Federation show in New York, is this logged in experience within stores. So similar to when you go onto Amazon's website, you log in, they know who you are, and they're able to personalize the experience for you. That same thing, we believe, will be happening in the physical stores too as well. So stores will move from a transactional nature into more of an experiential nature, similar to, again, what you've been able to experience online. They know what you like, what your preferences are. This is the same thing too that's going to be happening in the physical world. And we believe that Wi-Fi is the best platform to create this logged in experience in the physical world.
Fantastic vision for what retailers will turn into perhaps in a couple of years, or even less than that. I really like that image, Randy. And finally, I just want to pass on to our viewers just a reference. You can go to euclidanalytics.com, and I very much recommend, first of all, that you read the white paper, the research white paper. I think it's a very good one. And Randy, if folks want to get in touch with you or Euclid Analytics about your solutions and maybe try it out, what do they do?
Just go to our website, www.euclidanalytics.com, and the research report you referenced is on our homepage. You can schedule a demo and so forth. And we also have a lot of our U.S. retail benchmark reports too as well, where we go ahead and look and see what's happening in the retail industry trends and so forth. We do on a quarterly basis.
Randy, thank you so much for coming on. I think Euclid's a fantastic company. I wish you so much luck, because I think it's such a critical component of what needs to happen in the Wi-Fi world. The data analytics piece is super important. So best of luck to you, and come on again at some point and give us an update on what you guys are doing, all right?
Great. Thank you for having me, Klaus.
Thanks a lot. All right, everybody, that's it for today's show. On next week's show, I'm going to have another great guest. I'm not sure who's going to be yet, so you're just going to have to watch this space. And that's it for now. Remember to go to euclidanalytics.com, check it all out, and I'll see you all next week on Wi-Fi Now TV. See you then.
Wi-Fi Now is a production of RCR TV News. To suggest a show topic or to learn more about Wi-Fi Now events, you can reach Claus Hetting at klaus@hettingconsulting.com. To find out more about Wi-Fi Now and all things wireless, visit rcrwireless.com.